Hey everyone, it's Friday, so that means it's time for another Q&A. This week we got some very interesting questions for Anthem and Mass Effect, as well as one very controversial question. Now there are a lot of questions asked, and we reached a max of 6 questions this week, so if you don't see your question answered this week, then don't feel bad, as it still might appear next time. If you want a chance for your question to appear on next week's episode, the rules are simple. Just title your comment Q&A and ask either a question about Mass Effect, Anthem, or a personal question for me. Also a small detail, but next week I'll be working as much as I can to finish up my Destiny 2 review, since my exams end on Tuesday. Until then I'll be studying pretty hard to finish those up. I think you will find my review to be extremely thorough, as I explicitly look into each aspect of the game. With that said, there's timestamps below as always for the categories and questions. Let's get into our first question, which involves Anthem. First we have Reese Morris, who says, Q&A. Do you think that if Anthem fails horribly, critically, and by fans, do you think that it could be BioWare's last game for years, or maybe even ever, considering the amount of failures they've had recently, i.e. Mass Effect Andromeda and Dragon Age Inquisition? Thank you for the question, Reese, and I feel this is something many fans don't realize. Recently when EA released their quarterly earnings, information was released and made public that while Andromeda did not do as well as they might have hoped, in terms of revenue, it still made tons of money, and raked in profits that other games can only dream of. So that means that BioWare Montreal still had success in terms of money for their product, yet they were still shut down. So to me, if BioWare fails with Anthem in any way, they won't be worried about losing just their fans' respect and trust. They will also be worried about it possibly being their last game. If they fail by critics and fans, then their name will forever be tarnished. And publishers and investors could decide that the BioWare name and IPs are no longer worth spending money in or investing. To me, that is a scary possibility, and I truly hope it never comes to that. BioWare has done some truly great work in the past, and I believe they can do it again. Okay, up next we've got Genius474, who asks Anthem question. How do you think elemental suits will affect gameplay? Do you think that it'll be part of a science fantasy, where it won't be fully explained like biotics? Thank you for the link to the article, Genius. I'd read up on this earlier in the summer actually, but had almost forgotten about it until now. I think the elemental suits will function like biotics in terms of gameplay, in the terms that if you use lighter weapons, then you can use elemental abilities more often and have faster recharges for them across the board. I hope this is the case, as that would make picking a class and picking abilities a lot more meaningful, and give us the players a reason to have multiple characters set up, and allow us to prioritize speed and abilities over firepower. That was one aspect I really liked in Mass Effect Andromeda, that I could basically make my character a biotic god and never use guns. I think Anthem would be a good game suited for this kind of gameplay that Andromeda had. Now for the second part of your question, about whether or not if BioWare will explain the lore behind the elemental suits, I don't think they will, sadly. They may touch up on it, but I feel that if you want to know all the reasoning behind the elementals and the reason for their existence, then we'll have to reach out to external lore. Okay, for our third and final Anthem question, we have Ethan Watkins, who says, Hi Shepard Gaming, I have a question for your upcoming Q&A. The question is, what do you think Anthem will have to do to contend with Destiny, and how could Anthem potentially surpass it? Well, for this question, I'm not going to answer all of it here, as one video that I have in the pipeline is solely based around Anthem versus Destiny and versus The Division. But I'm still going to give some thoughts here on this topic. As long as Anthem is like what we saw at E3, then I think we'll have no problem destroying Destiny. While I'm really enjoying Destiny 2 right now and really addicted to it, it is still a heavily flawed game, and has so many wasted opportunities where you would think that if Bungie said to themselves out loud, they would think, wow, this is dumb, let's fix this. Yet for whatever reason, a lot of Destiny's blatantly obvious problems remain in the game. Anthem looks like it'll be one massive open world with lots of cool and meaningful exploration. That alone won me over compared to Destiny 2's ridiculously small 4 planets to explore, and only 2 of them being any fun. But the biggest thing Anthem needs to do is make sure at all times that when you are doing any kind of mission or activity, that the mission and the rewards will scale to your level. That way everything you do has meaning and helps to forward your character and progress. In Destiny 2, as soon as you complete the game's story, which you have to unlock everything, 4/5 of the game's content immediately becomes pointless to do because the loot won't benefit you in any way. Don't get me wrong, I still like Destiny 2 a lot, but they really set the stage for Anthem to have one of the easiest victories seen in gaming. Okay, up next we are moving over to Mass Effect with our first Mass Effect question by Hornet Hale, who says, Q&A. What if BioWare worked with Telltale Games, making a choice-driven game like the Walking Dead and Batman series has, maybe centered around the Council Citadel, as a much more political game, or as a young Krogan? Could it work? Would love to know what you think. Keela Salai. Well, keyless delight to you as well, Hornet Hail. I think that'd be a great spin-off game for the series, maybe around the $20 to $40 price range. BioWare's obvious strengths lie in their story and characters. I think both of those were highlight points in my Mass Effect videos. So if they were to do a more story-driven side game with a young Krogan or Citadel Council, I certainly think that could work, and it could be a nice little story for the fans while we wait for the next Mass Effect game. This game could be much more focused on the complex politics in the Citadel, as well as fully realizing the different attitudes the different races of the galaxy had towards one another. It could be less of a galactic war-focused quest, and instead be more lore-driven for the true fans. I don't know how EA would feel about this though, which is a great segment into our next question. Our next question, which is rather controversial, comes from Johnny Blaze, who says, question, do you think Mass Effect would have been better if EA didn't buy BioWare? Well, this is probably the most dangerous question a person can answer, so I'm going to pick my words wisely here because it is my dream to become a big gaming YouTuber who gives fair and honest feedback, but I also wouldn't mind being a community manager for EA or BioWare so that I could maybe help voice what the fans need more clearly to BioWare, as well as have direct impact on the game's production. So if that's said, I think yes and no. Yes, in the terms that, like almost all game studios that are partnered with Titan publishers, the game studio would have more freedom without publisher oversight. BioWare could make the games they want and release them when they feel the time is right. But at the same time, I'm going to say no. Because while publisher oversight does have its list of cons, there are also many benefits that come out of it. Some of these many benefits include easy access to game engines and coding, lots of game studios under the publisher's umbrella that can help out during development or give valuable insight and feedback, state-of-the-art workplaces, easy access to upcoming talent, and of course, the biggest one, the entire marketing done for BioWare by EA and paid by EA. Now, many fans may not realize, but a lot of times marketing cost comes close to equaling the development cost. So for a publisher to handle this aspect and make the ads for them is a huge weight lifted off the development team. Plus, Titan publishers like EA also have great partnerships with celebrities and movie studios, which helps with them making some of the more unique advertisements. To me, one of the great ads I always think about is Microsoft with Bungie and their game Halo Reach. While I personally did not like the game much, I absolutely loved the game's marketing and live action trailers. They were very well shot and the music fit really well. I hope I answered that question in a fair way, but feel free to disagree with me in the comments. But tell me why you feel or think that way. Okay, the next question is by Andrew AJ Oaks, who says, Q&A. Let's say a major developer sees your channel and recruits you to come help BioWare. You only get to make 3 changes total to help fix Mass Effect Andromeda. 1 plot change, 1 gameplay mechanic change, and 1 narrative system change. What would you do? Well, I would love to be recruited by BioWare. For the 3 changes I could make, I think I'll answer 2 parts at once, by changing almost the entire plot and narrative. I changed the plot first of all by making Andromeda actually focus on finding habitable planets for the first part of the game, and having to figure out how to make them livable without the magic alien tech that automatically does all the work after you win a Sudoku puzzle. Then for the second part of the game's plot, I would introduce ancient and abandoned alien ruins on the planets as you begin to explore more, and help stabilize the colonies that came with the Nexus. You would find out that all these races once thrived, but were wiped out by some Reapers that had come here during the time between their Milky Way cleansings. Now there are new Reaperized husks on lots of nearby planets, and they are smart enough to operate machinery. They would be the enemy you now have to fight for most of the game's third act. After finally clearing off a couple of planets of these husks, and nearly killing a Reaper that is controlling them, you would find out from the Reaper that the Reapers that had stopped here had come to try and unite all races here into peace instead of killing them. But one species had found a way to make technology even more powerful than them, and use it to ascend to power. This new race killed off all of the others and enslaved the survivors, along with destroying the Reapers. In a last-ditch effort to stop this new race's ascension to power, the Reapers created husks of all the dead to try and fight back, and were successful in driving the new race further toward the center of the galaxy. But this last Reaper was too damaged from battle to follow them any further. The Reaper only attacked you because it figured that you were allies of this new race and were here to destroy it. After learning this, you can decide whether to kill the Reaper for the mistakes it has done and the lives it has destroyed, or you can leave the Reaper as is. Or, for a third option, you can choose to repair the Reaper and ally with it to try and find the survivors. Well, I feel like I answered your plot and narrative changes here, and I know I did it in a couple more ways than two, but I've always had that in my mind as a possible Mass Effect story. For gameplay changes, I would keep Andromeda's gameplay, but bring back the tactical wheel so that you could control your squad mates and use them to set up combos. This would make the game flow better and be a lot more tactical. Okay, well that ends this week's episode of Q&A. I hope you guys liked the video, and if you didn't see your questions answered here, then do not fear, as I have all questions saved in a folder for future use. And I do plan on using them in future Q&A videos. With that said, leave your questions in the comments below for the next Q&A, and I'll see you guys on the next Shepard Gaming video. Keyless Ally.